News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk, KGVO, AM 1290 and 101.5 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
Will he or won't he run for the Senate? Good morning, everyone. Montana Morning. It's Tuesday, November 29th, 2016. Right now, the sky's cloudy. We have 30 degrees. Roads around the area mostly bare and wet after yesterday's initial bout with snow. We do have some intermittent snow and ice on Highway 83 between Clearwater Junction and Seeley Lake right now. Aside from that, most of the roads around Missoula are mostly bare and wet. But do watch out for some slick spots around western Montana. Our newscast this morning sponsored by Selway Armory on Stockyard Road, with more guns and ammo than anyone in Missoula, Montana's premier firearms dealer. Montana Congressman Ryan Zinke is considering a 2018 run for the Senate seat held by Democrat Jon Tester. The Whitefish Republican said he'll be pressuring Tester in coming months to move toward the political center and work with Republicans in Congress and President-elect Donald Trump. Zinke suggested in an interview with the Associated Press that he would run for Senate if Tester attempts to obstruct proposals for tighter border security and forest management changes. Zinke was reelected November 8th to a second term as Montana's sole representative in Congress. American Commander, a book that Zinke co-authored about his career as a U.S. Navy SEAL, is due to be released today. Tester said immediately after the recent election that he intends to seek a third six-year term. After weeks of vague explanations from Mayor John Engen's absence from Missoula City Hall, Engen is back in the office and is admitting his absence was due to treatment for alcoholism, according to City Councilor Harlan Wells. Actually, let's first hear from Mayor John Angoon at last night's City Council meeting.
Move on to communications from the mayor. I will be brief and just simply say thank you to folks around this table. Thank you to folks in the community who have been incredibly supportive and helpful, and in some cases, I believe, have saved my life. So thank you.
And again, according to City Councilor Harlan Wells, the public wasn't the only party left out of the loop of why the mayor was not at work for 8 weeks.
I was never given any information. In fact, I was given so little information that I found out it was even for medical reasons through the Missoulian. The only heads up I was given was by a phone call from Mayor Marler saying that she was going to be the acting mayor for a few weeks and that any questions should go through her.
In retrospect, Wells said alcohol may have influenced the mayor's behavior while he was performing some city functions.
I know, looking back at the deliberations during the city council meeting of over the gun ordinance, he was, I don't want to call him belligerent, but he was quite rude to people, and I can't help but ask myself if that wasn't alcohol related.
In a letter to Missoulians sent out yesterday, Angoon said he wanted to go public with his alcoholism recovery, quote, because my story might help someone else get his or her life back, end quote. He also announced he'll be running for re-election in 2017 and said, quote, only a serious, sober me can do that, and you deserve the serious, sober me you've elected in the past, end quote. Many questions remain about when the struggle with alcohol began and whether or not it played a role in city governance. Those questions will likely remain unanswered, as the letter sent to the press was accompanied by a note saying, quote, that Angoon, of course, a former reporter for the Missoulian newspaper, will not do interviews with reporters, end quote. An attorney for a newspaper and an advocacy group will try to persuade a federal judge to strike down a 14-year-old court order that made settlement talks on Butte's ongoing mining waste cleanup confidential. The Montana Standard and Silverbow Creek Headquarters Coalition are scheduled to appear today before U.S. District Judge Sam Haddon in Helena. The newspaper petitioned to intervene in the case between the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and Atlantic Richfield Company after it was denied a public record request on information about settlement or negotiations related to the Superfund cleanup. Montana Standard attorney James Gatz argues the information should be public under the state's Freedom of Information laws, but the 2002 confidentiality order prevents its release. Both ARCO and the Department of Justice oppose the newspaper's intervention in that case. An 18-year-old Hamilton woman was killed early Saturday in a one-vehicle rollover crash on I-90 near Tarkio. A Highway Patrol dispatcher has more.
The vehicle in question is a 99 Ford Explorer. The driver was an 18-year-old female who was the fatal victim. She was wearing a seatbelt and pronounced at the scene. The passenger was an 18-year-old male who was wearing a seatbelt, sustained injuries, and was transported to St. Pat's.
Trooper Alexander Hyde was the investigating officer on the scene.
The vehicle was driving westbound, about mile marker 62. Vehicle appeared to overcorrect, causing the vehicle to skid and then roll in the westbound lane, roll through the median, and ended up landing on the south side of the eastbound lane on its wheels.
The victim's name has not yet been released by the Mineral County coroner. However, friends of the family have started a Facebook campaign to raise funds for her funeral service. General rifle season ended on Sunday evening, right before the first widespread snowfall in western Montana, wouldn't you know? According to Fish, Wildlife, and Parks Public Information Officer Vivica Krauser, the hunting season had both highs and lows.
We actually had the highest whitetail deer harvest reported since 2010, so it was definitely a good year to be a deer hunter here in western Montana. But elk harvest, boy, if we had the snow start to fall earlier, I think it would have helped hunters. But we ended up about 36% below last year and quite a bit under the long-term average as well.
Many have blamed the lack of snow for a poor elk harvest. This year marks the second in a row where Montana had a relatively warm winter. Krauser was asked if FWP had considered shifting hunting seasons in response.
It would be something that we would talk about and look at, but the season dates where they sit now have been that way for such a long time. I don't see us doing anything dramatic that way. I see us looking instead more at how we might want to make some adjustments to the regulations within those shoulder seasons.
The size of the harvest gauged by the check stations is not complete. FWP will begin calling hunters in December to get a more accurate count, the results of which will be available come spring. And speaking of hunting, a hunting guide from Livingston says he shot a charging grizzly bear in self-defense. Justin Souza told the Livingston Enterprise he was taking video of the bears and walked away when the bear turned around and charged him. That, of course, under investigation by Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks. While some were waking up early for Black Friday shopping last week, 23-year-old Jonathan Gibson was being arrested for choking a woman, apparently because she disturbed his sleep. Police Public Information Officer Travis Welsh has more.
Man and woman apparently got into an argument because the woman had gotten up too early, according to the male. The argument ensued, and it escalated to the point that the male grabbed her, pulled her back onto a bed, and then at one point proceeded to strangle her to the point that it caused minor injuries to her neck.
Though only minor injuries were reported, Welsh says choking, strangulation actually, can cause damage that goes unseen.
Minor injuries on the surface of the neck that we can see. The danger are the potential injuries inside the throat that we can't see that could be potentially life-threatening. The offense itself meets the elements of PFMA, certainly, but it also reaches that threshold for a felony offense of aggravated assault.
Gibson was held on a $25,000 bond. Our News Talk time now is 6:12.
News Talk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
Partly to mostly cloudy skies today with our high temperatures in the upper 30s. Freezing fog tonight with our overnight lows dropping into the teens. A chance of snow showers Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Brooke Foster for Missoula's KECI 13.